Welcome back to another video. We're out here going for a walk, and today is not going to be the video I thought I was going to be releasing because all technology hates me. Next week I will be releasing my 10 scale crawler review of the TRX4, and I'm very excited to release that video, but the last week technology has not been my friend and everything collapsed. I lost a drive, I lost an SSD, yeah. To say the least, I'm good at data recovery now. Also, if anybody needs help recovering some SD card files, videos, I am now pretty good at that as well. So any FPV friends who want to know how to or need help recovering video files that they think they've lost, hit me up. Let's figure something out, because I've gotten really good at it and now I feel like I can help people out a little bit more, and I probably will end up posting a video on how I do my data recovery and how I do my video recovery, but that's not today. Today, I'm going to do something kind of weird. I'm going to both review the new-ish MacBook Pro 16-inch M3, pretty much base spec, and I'm also going to talk about how I really think the fact that Mac's support of exFat, the universal file format that most devices use, including GoPros, HD0 goggles, etc., is trash. Before we dive into the actual MacBook Pro review and just my thoughts on it, it's going to be a pretty quick review of that thing. But the thing that really got this video kind of stuck in my head was the fact that pretty much every device I use, my DJI drones, my air units, my goggles, all of them, Fat Shark, HD0, and DJI, they all use the exFat format. It's a universal format that works with pretty much most devices, whether you're plugging it into a computer, a PlayStation, mobile device, pretty much everything reads it. A Mac does read it too, but its support of the format and the fact that it can actually corrupt exFat devices is infuriating. We're in 2024 and it can't support a format that is supported by every other device. This whole drive apocalypse started with one of my hard drives becoming unreadable. It was plugged in, it showed in the drive utilities tool in Mac, but it couldn't be read, it couldn't be visually seen in my Finder, so I had no idea what was going on. After a little research and figuring out that this could have been the issue, I plugged it into my PC, did the repair, the first aid repair on the PC, and that fixed the file structure. Everything came back, everything was okay, and then my SSD decided to get eaten. And to be clear, when I say eaten, I'm saying the Mac slowly and systematically deleted things off of the drive, at least visibly. So it still said that there was, I think out of a 4 terabyte drive, there was 700 and change gigabytes. So that number was still unchanged. So the information was still there technically, but even after trying to do the file structure repair on the PC, nothing came back. This is about when I started freaking out, because on that drive, there was all of my FPV footage, there was all the GoPro recordings, including videos that I'm working on right now, and I was not only like upset and pissed off, but just kind of exasperated. That exasperation really stemming from the fact that as a company that built its name on their PCs just working, this was a case where the PC actually, well, the Mac, was actually destructive. And it wasn't like it let me know, hey, there might be a drive issue. Hey, this is going on in the background. It was just go into the folder system and realize, oh no, a bunch of stuff is just missing. Once I discovered this issue, I started looking into ways to recover it. I found an application called Disk Drill. There's a link down in the description before. It's not an affiliate link. If you're watching this from Disk Drill, please let me know if I can have an affiliate link. And I'm very much down for helping you guys help other people, because you guys saved my butt 1000%. Need from the future here, I completely forgot to mention, actually the reason I got the data recovery software in the first place is because I thought I had imported the GoPro files from the gates of hell, video coming soon, and it turns out what I actually did was copy the temporary files and then delete everything off the SD card. That data recovery tool saved my butt there, and then continued to save my butt throughout the next week, as everything in my life technology-wise just crapped the bed. After installing Disk Drill, I went through the process. It took about like 2 days to do the recovery, but the recovery worked, and like 99% of the files came back, even ones that I deleted like months ago. So props to Disk Drill, it worked like a charm. Not only did this tool just work, but also it's a decent value. It's under 100 bucks. It may be 60 bucks, it may be 50 bucks. I gotta look at actually what the software costs. Here it is. With how much time and with how many videos that software just saved, I am a big supporter and a big fan of it, and I would highly recommend, if you've had data loss, take a look. Same thing goes if you've had data loss on an SD card. Give this thing a whirl, see if it recovers anything. It's definitely worth the price of admission. Even though Disk Drill did recover a whole bunch of stuff, there were some video files that were corrupted. Especially when you have a drive issue, whether that's because you hit a wall with your FPV drone and your SD card, I guess lost contact for a second with the read-write heads or read-write contacts on your air unit, or if your entire drive fails because Mac is stupid and doesn't support exFat. There's a video recovery tool that I used called WonderKit Repair It. If you fly FPV, this is a piece of software you need. It's for Windows, it's for Mac, and it has recovered so many video files, especially from HD0 when they get corrupted after I just unplug the goggles instead of turning them off correctly. Getting back to the whole point of all of this story is that if you're running exFat and you have a Macintosh, I would highly recommend getting your SSDs or hard drives to one of the Mac approved formats. And when you do write stuff to an external drive that you need to have inter operating system compatibility, make sure that data is backed up, because Macs do not like exFat, even though we're in 2024, and that is the most common, honestly, I think it's the most common data format for external devices, period. So the fact that Apple does not truly support exFat, and in some cases will destroy exFat drives, is near unacceptable. But at least now that I know that this can be a thing, I'm going to be more cautious and careful. I'm going to keep any essential data and any non-backed up data off of exFat drives until they are backed up on non-exFat storage devices. To say the least, that is frustrating. Now with that story of data loss out of the way, let's get into the other half of this video, which is a very quick review of the 2023 MacBook Pro 16-inch M3. I'm sure as any other person who's upgraded from an Intel Mac to an M series Mac, regardless of how old the Intel Mac was, and regardless of the M processor, whether it's M1, M2, or M3, Pro or Max, the difference is like night and day. When Apple says the performance is shockingly better, they're really not wrong. For me, it's even more pronounced because I'm coming from a 2016 MacBook Pro with an i7. So the jump is like, the jump has honestly been amazing. What used to take me hours or even a day now takes minutes. The change in my workflow has honestly been the biggest shift since I discovered how to use proxies for video editing. My old workflow used to be coming home from a day of flying or a day of shooting video, plugging the SD card in, importing the footage onto my working drive, and then going into Premiere and creating proxies for all the video files, because my computer struggled to play back anything that was, I mean, honestly, anything that was greater than 4K 30. It stumbled a little bit with 4K 30, but it would handle it. Anything more than that, and it would struggle. And so I would go in, I would make low resolution proxies, and that would allow me to smoothly, cleanly, and easily edit that footage and then render it out in Media Encoder. That process of creating the proxies did help me edit video on a 2016 Intel era MacBook. It also took a long time. Basically, the night after I was out shooting or out flying, I would just leave it overnight to render out all the proxy files, and it would usually be done in the morning. Same goes when I'm exporting the edited video. When it came to exporting, I would basically, at the end of the night, hit export, send it to Media Encoder, and let it run while I went and took a nice long sleep. While this workflow worked, it was not ideal. If I wanted to look through multiple revisions, or I wanted to double check my output once it was done, it meant I had to start the export all over again, and it would take honestly a few hours in most cases. With the M3 Mac, not only do I not have to create proxies at all if I don't want to, I also can export video quickly. So a project that used to take a few hours to export now takes, honestly, sub 5 minutes. So I can iterate very quickly. I can see errors as soon as they get exported. And if I'm trying to do stuff really close to a deadline, like with the bot grinder battle tapes or with the Tyrant Pro Whooper bootcamp challenges, I sometimes cut it way too close to the line, and this now will let me make that a little bit more, give me a little more time to breathe. I'll no longer be praying and looking at the render time, hoping that I can get it done before the deadline. Aside from the massive performance jump for the new MacBook Pro, for me, I think the biggest nice features of the new laptop are that it has legitimate ports on it, so I'm no longer having to carry all the dongles. Still have to carry some dongles, because if you're plugging USB-A devices in, USB-A is the rectangular port that's kind of like classic USB port that goes into the computer. You still have to use a dongle for that, but for everything else, I no longer have to carry an SD card reader, I no longer have to carry an HDMI adapter, and it still works off of USB-C power, which is a very nice feature considering everything else I own charges via USB-C. In the same vein as the increased performance, I also think the battery life is significantly improved. This may be because it's just a fresh battery. It does feel like I can now edit videos comfortably while roaming and not need to constantly be searching for an outlet to plug in the laptop, which is very, very handy when I'm editing YouTube videos with a toddler and may realistically not be able to sit at my desk for long enough to finish a video edit. That really sums up, honestly, the biggest pros. It's basically battery life, extra performance, and a lot more compatibility than the previous generation MacBook Pros. On the negative side of the column, there's always, for Apple products, the expense. You can honestly get a PC that would perform as good, if not far better, for far less. There's also some little quality of life features with Windows that I really like when you drag Windows to the corners of the screen, it snaps into different parts of the screen, which I think is a very helpful feature, and I'm shocked that Mac hasn't done it yet. You also have the ever annoying part of a Mac that only lets you really plug in one display unmirrored, so like extending your display. If you have 3 displays, like I currently do on my desk, you have to use 2 USB ports. I currently plug one of my USB ports into a USB-C dock, and the other one goes into an HDMI adapter that goes into the second monitor. The fact that I have to chew through 2 ports just to get 3 monitors is kind of ridiculous, especially when USB-C supports stuff like daisy chaining, and as far as the resolution goes, honestly, the computer can drive it. So I don't know why they hard limit to 1 display out of each port. It's kind of frustrating, super annoying, but it is a little nitpicky and something not everybody will deal with. A lot of people just use this as a laptop and won't ever notice this problem. Considering the first entire half of this video was about the lack of support for exFat drives, that's honestly my next con. It's so frustrating and you can lose so much work without even knowing it's a problem. Honestly, there are no bigger nightmares for somebody who creates content or somebody who just uses files in general than looking at your external drive and noticing a whole bunch of stuff is missing. Next, similar to the proprietary nature of a lot of stuff with Mac, this laptop also suffers from the same problem that almost all current Mac laptops suffer from, which is the spec you buy it in is the spec you have. You cannot upgrade it post-purchase, and for some people that's frustrating because it does limit its lifespan, but honestly overall I don't think it's too much of a negative because I had pretty much a base spec MacBook Pro from 2016, and honestly that thing was still kicking and thriving nearly what, 7, 8 years later. No, I'm bad at math. Not really, but 8 years later, that thing is still editing videos like a champ. Obviously not perfect. The new laptop has enabled a huge unlock in my workflow, but it still did what it needed to do. And that is pretty impressive considering the amount of time and the amount of things that have changed since that laptop has come out. I mean, H.265 wasn't even a thing when that laptop came out. And honestly, that's really it. I've been pleasantly surprised with most stuff running on the M series processors. I did expect to run into a little compatibility issues, but I guess 3 years into the M series Macs, and yeah, it's pretty much good. Honestly, if you're considering buying a laptop for video editing and you decide you want to choose a Macintosh, yeah, go with pretty much anything. Pick your size, and then I would actually suggest going base spec. I would also strongly consider going used because you can pick up a really good M1, even an M1 Max, for cheaper than you can buy a brand new M3. So with that said, thank you all for joining me in this one. Catch you in the next video. Peace. Bye.